welcome to Life with Courage. If you're new, thank you so much for clicking on this video, and if you're a returning subscriber, you are the real MVP and I really appreciate your support. In this video, we'll be talking about 10 challenges I faced as a first-time mom, so keep watching. The challenges I'm going to be listing here are based on my own personal experience because every woman has a unique birth story. So jumping straight to the first challenge, my maternity pad was rejected, guys. Immediately I put to birth, they requested for the maternity pad I had brought to the hospital. Once I presented it to the midwife, she said it was not the recommended brand for that hospital. And later when I opened the pad, I realized she was correct because that pad wasn't smooth enough. It was not thick enough to hold whatever I was supposed to hold. We ladies, we know what I'm talking about. So thank God my sister had sent a different brand of maternity pad to me, which was what I presented to the midwives when the first one was rejected. So ladies, when you're going to the hospital, ensure to check your bags. Check your bags. If you're not sure of what you're supposed to have in your bags, take it to the hospital if possible and show the midwife to go through every item and confirm. Or you can go through each item, you go to the hospital, you get a list and come back with and cross-check item by item to be sure that you've gotten the right things and the recommended things for that hospital you'll be going to give birth. Moving to the second challenge I faced, my breast milk did not flow on time as I had expected or as I had imagined. Once you're pregnant, you believe that your body is going to do all the magic, and once you push out that baby, breast milk is automatically going to flow for the baby to suck. That's not always the case. Every woman is different. In my own case, it took almost 24 hours for breast milk to flow, and it was frustrating because the baby cried. The baby was so cranky. Imagine you just put into birth and you're unable to sleep because the baby is crying and screaming and wanting to eat, but there's nothing to give the baby. All I kept doing was eating all sorts of things given to me by my mom. Yes, we know our African mothers. I ate all sorts of things, drank all sorts of liquids, and I tried to rest, but it was difficult because I tried to keep putting the baby to latch, which was also a challenge because once the baby is latching and nothing is coming out, the baby gets frustrated and starts crying. First time moms, I know all of us will have this difficulty or this challenge. You always have this fear in you once you give birth that there's something wrong with your newborn. That is exactly what I experienced because when I gave birth and we went to the ward, I kept looking at the baby, checking if the baby was breathing properly, checking if the baby was moving correctly, checking if the baby's head was well shaped, checking if the baby had all 10 fingers and 10 toes. In fact, the anxiety was too much. And I even went to the point of checking the baby's eyes and thinking the eyes were yellow. And when the baby's eyes are yellow, it may be a sign of yellow fever. So I recommended a yellow fever test to be conducted, which was done, and it came out negative. But ladies, try to relax when you give birth. Let the doctors do their work. If you have questions, you ask, but avoid being anxious because it will only cause you to lack breast milk. It will only cause you to get exhausted, and you may even get depressed due to exhaustion, due to anxiety. So please try to relax once you give birth. Ask the right questions. You can check the baby, but make sure you ask the right questions and avoid anxiety, please. Moving on to the fourth challenge I faced, that was lack of sleep and the feeling of incapability at a certain point. Yes, guys, I had that feeling which wasn't pleasant at all. I expected that yes, once I give birth, I would have to sacrifice some sleep time and take care of the baby. My mother was around, so it was easier at the time. But when my mom left, guys, it was depressing for real. When you hear of postpartum depression, it is real, guys, because it was knocking on my doorstep. I was so depressed. I felt like I wasn't capable. I felt abandoned. I felt like I would do something wrong. I was so scared. I even cried, guys. I cried for 2 days when my mom left. I didn't have confidence in myself. My husband was not around at the time because he works in a different town. And it was so depressing, guys. But I thank God I could come out of it. For real. Because so many women go through postpartum depression and they don't even talk about it. But I thank God for guiding me and leading me out of that situation. And now everything is fine. I've managed the situation and I've been managing it till today. Moving on. Have you ever been in a situation where everybody wants to tell you what to do? Everybody has an opinion on what you should do with your child. I found myself in that situation. Everybody around me, especially those that had children already, had an opinion of what I should do. It was too much. Some people think they should always tell you what you are supposed to do. Yes, it's okay to advise you, but when you advise someone, you leave the person to take your advice or not. Let it not be as if it's a problem that the person is not accepting what you want that person to accept. So at a certain point, I just had to pretend as though I wasn't hearing anything anyone was saying. Someone will tell you, bathe the baby every day. Even if you said, no, it's a newborn baby and it's not necessary, living in a cold environment, because my baby was born in Bamenda and Bamenda is very cold. You cannot be bathing a newborn baby every day. They'll tell you, if the baby has a fever, you can just stay with the baby at home, give paracetamol. Guys, hospitals are there to help us. It is still a newborn baby. If it's already an infant, I can understand. But as a newborn baby, and at that point, I was really anxious. So I didn't think it was necessary for somebody to tell me I should stay at home with a baby who has a fever. No. The best advice is to say go to the hospital and meet a pediatrician to examine the child, because that actually saved my baby from an infection. If I had stayed at home and administered paracetamol like many people said, I don't know what would have happened today. So instead of listening to all these opinions, advices coming from left, center, right, seek the advice of a professional. Go to the hospital. You can ask your mom for advice when it concerns things that she can handle. So that is my opinion. Do not allow so many people tell you what to do and get confused on how you're supposed to take care of your child. Now we are getting to number 6. Guys, I spent a lot of money buying unnecessary things for my baby, which I regretted later on. But it was too late. I had bought them already. Especially the bath set, which I bought for the baby. That's her lotion, her soap, her shampoo, and everything she had to use for her body. All that set was unnecessary, guys, because my baby used it only for 1 week and it started irritating my baby's skin. When you're buying products for your baby's skin or your baby's hair, ensure that the pH value is convenient enough for your baby's skin. You check that. Or you go for things like coconut oil, which is what I settled for at the end of the day. And it has helped me a lot. I can attest to that. So get what is necessary and not what is fancy. On to the next point. You have to adapt as a first-time mom. You have to adapt and follow your baby's routine. I had a challenge with that because living your life without a baby, prioritizing your own self, enjoying yourself, yes, and moving into a situation where you have to prioritize another person over yourself. You have to follow that person's routine because that person is unable to do anything for themselves. So that is it. It was a challenge for me, but I had to adapt with time. So if you are expecting, know that when you give birth, you have to follow your baby's routine, unlike yours. You have to adapt to it. Whenever the baby wants to eat, you have to be there. Whenever the baby is crying, you have to be there. Whenever the baby is sleeping and it's night and you have to sleep to make that baby sleep properly, you have to be there as well. Now we are at the 8th challenge I faced as a first-time mom. Before giving birth, I knew I would have to change my wardrobe, maybe buy more clothes which are bigger because I gained weight. What I did not know was that the weight was going to remain for long, and also my shoe size was going to increase because actually I wear just a few pairs of shoes because all the other shoes won't fit. My shoe size has gone up. So ladies, when you are expecting and you put to birth, you should just expect that you have to buy new pairs of shoes which are either a size or two more than your original shoe size, because your feet are going to be bigger than they were before. Another challenge I faced was balancing marriage and parenthood, which was still new to me. I let my gloominess, my feeling of incapability, my fears get to my partner. I kept blaming him for not being present, for not doing enough. My expectations were too high, guys. Whatever I watched in movies, I expected that was what I was supposed to see in reality, which is not the case. Your partner has to do other things to assist you. It must not be carrying the baby. It must not be pampering you all the time, but other things that indirectly help you and the family will not stand still, or everything will not stand still because you've given birth. That's not the case. And at the time I didn't understand that because I was feeling abandoned, but thank goodness everything is fine now, and we got to a point where we had to balance up parenthood and marriage, and we're enjoying everything now. The last and I think the most important challenge I faced was praying constantly, which is not supposed to be a challenge at all, because when you give birth you have to thank God always because it's a joyful event. You have to pray for protection upon your newborn baby and also for recovery for yourself. But when I gave birth, I felt like I needed to prioritize the baby's safety and everything over prayers or anything that would disturb the baby's sleep or the baby's comfort. There were cases where the baby would cry till 2 a.m. in the morning. I'll be up with the baby, which would cause me not to pray. There were times where the baby will be asleep by 7 p.m. I've not yet prayed, but because I don't want to wake the baby up, I would just go to bed silently and just sleep. I later on realized it was very bad and I had to adjust my time and realize that praying must not be at a particular hour of the day. So I started praying at any moment I could during the day. be it in the morning, in the afternoon, or in the evening. All is that a day shouldn't pass without me praying, and it's a good thing to do. It's a good measure to adopt in case of difficulty, especially if the baby is cranky in the evening. You can pray at any time of the day. So these are some of the challenges I faced as a first-time mom. Thank you for watching up to this point, and remember to subscribe and like if you haven't done that yet. Leave a comment down below and tell us what challenges you faced as a first-time mom as well.